I have seen many things in the Linux world over 25 years. I have seen it all. But Winux 11 stopped me. It made me sit in front of the screen in silence for a few seconds, and that does not happen to me often. Let's start with what it actually is. Winux is a Linux distribution based on Ubuntu 24.04 LTS with KDE Plasma customized down to the bone to replicate Windows 11. Not inspired by Windows 11, not similar to Windows 11, a copy. Faithful, meticulous, almost unsettling. The boot menu is identical, the login screen is identical, the notifications are identical. Tom's Hardware shared a screenshot with their colleagues on Slack, and the unanimous response was, "It looks exactly like Windows 11. Not almost. Exactly." Windows Central called it the most successful attempt yet at making the transition from Windows to Linux less jarring. And I understand why they say that. If the goal is to reduce the cognitive shock of the average user coming from Windows, this system does it better than anything I have ever seen. Better than Zorin, and with Zorin, this project is a close relative, essentially a gimmick. Better than any homemade KDE theme. But this is where my unease begins. Because the question buzzing in my head while I was looking at those screenshots was not, is it good? It was why. In 2025, with Windows 10 reaching end of support, a window opened. Millions of PCs unable to upgrade to Windows 11 due to hardware requirements. Millions of users potentially left without a supported operating system. Linux had the historic opportunity to present itself as the alternative. And Winux chose to present itself by saying, "Look at me. I am identical to the thing you are running away from." The entire marketing strategy of Winux is built around this moment in time, positioning itself explicitly as a refuge for people abandoning Windows 10. On paper, it makes sense. It lowers the barrier to entry. It eliminates the visual disorientation. It gives the user a familiar environment while underneath, silently, a Linux kernel runs. The roof is different, but the walls are the same. You walk in and you do not notice the difference. The problem is that this logic only works if the target is the completely uninitiated user. The one who cannot tell a file manager from a terminal, the one who just wants to open a browser and get to work. But that user in reality rarely installs a Linux distro on their own. Someone needs to guide them. And that someone, if they know enough to guide them, also knows that standard KDE Plasma or MX Linux or Divuon do the job perfectly well without all this theater. XDA developers put it plainly, you do not need an identical clone of Windows to switch to Linux. Many distributions today are already extremely accessible to Windows users without having to replicate Microsoft's aesthetic point by point. And this brings us to the history. Because Winux was not born yesterday. It has a long history, and not a particularly clean one. The project has existed since 2007, first as Linux FX, then rebranded as Ubuntu, then again as Winux. Same developer, same approach, same business model. And the business model is one of the most problematic parts. Winux includes a component called Power Tools, which costs $35 as a lifetime license, and which unlocks features like the Windows-style control panel, improved support for the EXE and MSI applications, the Android subsystem, and security updates tied to Power Tools itself. Stop for a second on that last point. Security updates, in part, are behind a paywall in a Linux distribution. In 2026, the project carries with it the same trust issues, the same murky licensing, and the same security concerns that followed its predecessors, Linux FX and Ubuntu. I want to steal just 1 minute of your time on something that has nothing to do with this video, but that I care deeply about. Divuon. If you use Debian, or if you have ever used Debian, you already know what it stands for. Freedom, stability, a system that belongs to the user, not to a corporation, not to a foundation with a political agenda. That is the promise Ian Murdoch made when he founded Debian in 1993. A distribution built on principles, not on convenience. Divuon is that promise kept. When Debian voted to make Systemd the default init system, a group of developers refused to follow. Not out of stubbornness, out of principle. They forked Debian, removed Systemd, and gave users back the choice that Debian had taken away. The result is a system that is stable, reliable, and free in the deepest sense of the word. No monolith controlling your boot, your logs, your network, your DNS. Just a clean, composable system that does what you tell it to do. Debian is not a workaround. It is not a protest. It is the real Debian, the one Ian Murdoch would recognize. If you want a system that respects the Unix philosophy, that puts you in control, and that does not compromise on freedom, Debian is where you start. For information, support, and help migrating, visit systemdfree.com. Your init system matters. Choose accordingly. When you put your banking data, your credentials, your entire digital life on an operating system developed by a small and opaque team, with a business model that mixes open source and proprietary components, you are betting a great deal on people you know almost nothing about. And this brings me back to the original question. The technical work is respectable. I say this without irony. Replicating Windows 11 at that level of fidelity requires time, attention, care for detail. KDE Plasma runs underneath as the engine, and the customization goes deep. This is not a theme slapped on top. It is a system designed from the inside out to look like something it is not. But that same energy, that same craftsmanship, applied to building something original, something that shows what Linux can be, instead of what Windows already is, would have had a completely different impact. The problem is not just philosophical, it is practical. If someone wants Windows, they have Windows. If they have a recent enough PC, it probably already came installed. If they want it on older hardware, they can get Windows 10 for a few more years with unofficial patches, or with licenses at ridiculous prices on the gray market. The user Winux wants to win over, in many cases, is a user who does not exist in the way Winux imagines. And then there is the identity question, the one that weighs on me the most. Linux is not Windows. Unix is not Windows. They have different philosophies, different architectures, different cultures. Replicating the aesthetics of Windows is not a neutral act. It is an implicit statement. The way Microsoft decided a desktop should look is the right way, the aspirational way, the destination. And that statement is false. The Windows 11 desktop is not the result of decades of ergonomic and philosophical reflection on human-computer interaction. It is the result of corporate decisions, focus groups, forced backward compatibility, and marketing choices. It is not a model. It is a commercial historical accident. Linux has produced original interfaces, bold ones, some beautiful and some terrible, but all its own. GNOME with its continuous workspace logic, i3 and the tiling philosophy, KDE in its baroque but coherent complexity. Every Linux desktop says something about itself. Winux says only one thing: look how much I look like someone else. Does it exist? Yes. Can it be useful to someone in some specific scenario? Maybe. For a company that needs to migrate hundreds of machines while reducing user retraining, something like this could make sense as a temporary solution. But as a long-term project, as an answer to the question, how do we bring more people to Linux? No. This is not the answer. The answer is software that works well, hardware supported from the very first boot, clear documentation, welcoming communities, tools that respect the user instead of treating them as data to be collected. We already have those things scattered across our ecosystem, built by thousands of people working for free because they believe in it. Winux shook me, and I keep thinking about it, not for what it is, but for what it represents. The perennial temptation to define yourself in opposition, to build your identity as a mirror of someone else. Linux does not need to be Windows. Linux needs to be Linux better. See you in the next video, and may Linux be with you.